Here's a quick look at the How to Hardscape budgeting template. As you can see here, we have a bunch of tabs on the bottom for setting your budget, and then a few tabs at the bottom here to show you 4 different recovery methods for your overhead to price your labor and to price your equipment cost of goods sold on each project, including your rate per hour, rate per day for every piece of equipment and every employee that you have in your business, as well as markups on materials, equipment, and subcontractors to get those as well. So basically what you'll do when you get the spreadsheet is you will fill in the amount of time that you have in your year based on the amount of working days and weeks and hours per day, and then put in your unbillable hours to give you your total hours per year. You'll then create your budget by going through the COGS or cost of goods sold and the overhead tab. Cost of goods sold has 4 different areas to fill in, including field labor, equipment, materials, and subcontractors. And it's just a matter of putting in your information for your employees and being able to add a labor burden percentage on top of that to cover vacation pay, insurance costs, payroll taxes, and so on there. You'll notice anything in this spreadsheet that has a blue field, this is something that you would add information to, so it is editable. And anything with a yellow field is a formula, so you don't want to touch that. Anything with a green field is a formula, but you can also edit it. So for example, I can edit my hours per employee to be able to say it's a part-time employee and not a full-time employee. But after we have our employees in there, we'll add our equipment. So we have our cost of goods sold equipment. So this needs to be applied to a project to be able to recover its costs whenever we quote a project. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to add in any piece of equipment that we want to apply to specific projects to recover its cost. We'll put in the equipment's name, cost of replacement, years of use, resale value to get our depreciation for that asset per year, and then add in any expenses per year. You'll see that every cell that needs information will have what information you need to put into it at the top here. So we have maintenance, repairs, fuel, insurance, licensing, and other that you'll want to add up per equipment and add it into expenses per year for that. And then for cost of goods equipment, we also want to add in the utilization rate. So how much are you going to use that throughout the year? Is it half the jobs, 50% of the days? Is it every single job? You can put in a utilization rate there to give you your cost per hour. This utilization rate will change your cost per hour based on how much you're going to use it. So if I'm going to use it half the time, you'll see my cost per hour has actually doubled because I'm going to be using it only half the time. So my cost per hour for using it every single day is half of what you just saw there. Now that's cost per hour, what is costing you and not what you would charge out. We'll get to that going through the different recovery rates for overhead. And then we have materials and subcontractors. You can list out every single material that you do, or you can bulk it all together, just put in one number. You can put in a previous, what you did last year, what you're going to do this year to give you your difference in terms of percentage. This is good if you plan on growing this year. You're likely growing whatever percentage you plan to grow by, that difference in terms of budgeting for your materials. And then subcontractors, exact same thing. You can break it out by subcontractor. You can lump it all together, whatever you want there to give you your subcontractor amount. And then we come over to our overhead tab. Our overhead tab is labor, equipment, and general expenses. So for labor, this is anybody in your office, anybody that's not labor producing, not producing labor in the field. The amount of hours will already populate there and their total salary. You can add a labor burden percentage as well for that. As an owner, you want to add yourself in here for the tasks you do in the office, as well as if you're an owner operator in the field, you'll want to add yourself to the cost of goods there as well. Following that, you need to add in your equipment. So this is anything for you to add into this spreadsheet that is a truck that you drive around that you don't drive to site. So a sales truck or anything like that. As you can see here, we have a computer in here. This is something that is over $500 for us, so we consider it a piece of equipment and something that we would want to add in here. And then finally, general expenses. And we have a list of things that you can add up, give it a cost per year to give you your total general expenses. You'll see here here on the profit tab, we have a breakdown of the numbers based on what you put into those past 2 tabs. So we have our net profit, what we will make for the business, and the net profit percentage based on our forecasted sales goal. And at this point, I can edit this number. I have my previous, what I did last year, and what I plan to do this year, and this will change what we plan to make for net profit for this business. So if I say we're going to do 600,000, you'll see our net profit has drastically changed there to add in an extra $100,000 with a net profit. You'll also see our direct labor efficiency ratio and our management labor efficiency ratio. These two numbers show you how efficiently you're using your labor, your direct labor, so in-field labor producing, and your management labor, so your overhead labor. And if your direct labor efficiency ratio is 2 or higher, it means you're efficient. Maybe you're ready for your next employee in the field hire. And if you're 3.0 or higher on your management labor efficiency ratio, once again, it means you're very efficient. If you're at 6 there, and maybe you're ready for an office person to take the load off of the plate from your own admin tasks. You get a breakdown of your cost of goods sold and overhead as a percentage of revenue here. And then you get to choose one of 4 overhead recovery methods. We have labor rate, dual overhead recovery, single overhead recovery, and multiple overhead recovery. When you do purchase the spreadsheet, you do get an explainer video where we go much more in depth in this, but these just give you different ways that you can recover your overhead based on a labor rate system, which means your labor is recovering 100% of your overhead. Dual overhead just means that there's 2 separate percentage markups, one for labor and equipment, one for materials and subcontractors. Single overhead recovery just applies a single markup percentage to everything, so all of your cost of goods sold. And then multiple overhead recovery applies a different markup percentage to each of these here to recover your overhead. Once again, we get much more in depth into this if you do decide to purchase it, or if you do decide to sign up for a workshop if you want a little bit more of a group coaching session to be able to get into this spreadsheet.